let's onegaishimasu.
Onegaishimasu.
Okay, well, just a little bit of loosening here. Just use the vertical. Yeah. Slowly start to bring the heels off the ground. Coming up to the toes. And then leaving the ground with the toes. Letting the weight fully sink into the ground, into the heel. Just bringing the toes onto the ground, just working from the heel down. And then just keeping the heel down, just let the body settle into the feet. And to there. There. Okay, and then we're just going to a rotation. Open the feet down. Let the whole spine rotate. The arms like big, thick, heavy ropes just coiling around the body. Yeah. Keeping the knees open all the time. And just circling the hips, yeah. And the other way. Just loosening the knees. And the other way. Just bending them back and down. And back. Okay, just working the ankles. Nice and loose. Both ways. So work the toes as well. And just working off the ground, pointing and pulling the toes. Good. On the other side, just loosening. And pointing, pulling the toes. Pointing, pulling the toes. Yeah. Okay, shake the legs off. Okay, do a little bit of foundation work just here for the breath. This is a kind of decompression breath. So putting the hands on the stomach. Here, nice and long with the back. Feel the weight shifting much more towards the back, towards the heel. And just nice deep breaths in. Up through the lungs. The elbows at the side, have the feeling of expanding them out as well. And really feel that you're breathing into the back of the lungs. And as you breathe out, maintain the length in the spine, so try not to collapse the body. Keep the spine nice and long and full. And the belly buttons and the stomach is going to pull away from the belt, like it's pressing towards the spine. And you breathe in. Now, nice and long. Feel all the time the spine lengthening from the tailbone. And then just from here, drawing the arms back, widening through the shoulders, drawing the shoulders back. Just 3 nice deep breaths in and out, and in and out, and then just raising the arms up right above the head, lengthening a little bit, arching the back, drawing the hips back a little bit, and just working through the body nice and long, especially the back of the neck. Now try and pull it long, long, long. Feel that each breath is lengthening more, widening more. And then just let it drop. Okay, we're just going to do a nice short lunge. So step back foot off, just off the heel. Key is keep the feet straight together on the same line and the hips square. So you just do the same motion, pulling the body back, nice and long. Most of the weight's in the front heel. Nice big breath. And then very slowly, just from the hip, just start to bring the body forward, pulling the chest back, pulling the chin back, pushing the chest out. As you feel it in the shoulders here in the in-breath, release it out, pull the arms forward, bring the hands together. The feeling of squeezing the fingers together, pulling the elbows in and pushing the shoulders away from each other. Hinge from the hip. Okay, and then from here, what I want you to do is just very slightly from the back here, introduce a little bit of a twist into it. So you start to spiral the body a little bit away from the front foot. Yeah, and then as you go, take this further, fully up, start to pull the hip back and really lengthening up, fully into a spiral. Away from the back leg. Nice deep breath in. And then back to this position, rehinging the hips. A little bit further, pulling the hips back as well. Back to a neutral position. Most of the way now is really in the front foot. Back foot's very light. And then again, just introduce a little subtle spiral into the hip. And then let it carry up, 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 and away from the body. Nice big spiral. As you pull back to a vertical position. Through the body. Nice deep breath in. Fill the position and just let it out on the out breath. There. Good. And then we just do the same on the other side. Find a similar position. Into here into a lunge. Back foot out. Just widen the back again. Nice and long. Pulling the chest out and chin back. And then hinging from the hip. As you start to really feel it in the shoulders, just start to hinge, scoop the arms forward. Around about the level of the chest here. Pulling straight and a little bit back with the hips. Really anchoring in the feet, especially in the front foot. And then again, just introduce a little subtle hinge, spiraling up, and then up, 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 as you pull it long. Nice deep breaths as you go into the hinge. And then hinging the hips back, a little bit deeper into it. Really pull the hands forward as if you're kind of reaching forward for something, whilst you're pressing them in at the same time with the fingers. And then hinging in, pulling up. Nice big spiral through the whole body. And then release it from the out breath. Okay, just let the shoulders shake, hips go. And we're going to a nice wide founder position, so your feet are a little bit double shoulder width, nice and wide. Again, first position, just sink the weight back, mostly in the heel, and then you're going to slowly start to unlock the knee, just a little bit. Don't let it pass forward. Start to pull it back. So really widen the arms, out in the chest, and pulling the chin back. Feel the feet really anchoring the body down. You feel a little bit like you're falling backwards, so okay. Just try and anchor the feet more. Nice deep breath in. And then as you go out, hinging the hips back, scooping the arms up just to here. It's a nice deep position. Hips and hands really drawn away from each other. Keep the neck long. And then from this position, just coming here, so the hands are by the ears, just about this position. And then just going to hinge from the hole, just from the hip, let the whole body sink down and back up. Pulling the body back up. Hands are about level with the ears. Keep it there. Pull the whole body down with it. Draw the body down from the hip, back up with the hip. Keeping the length as you go. Down and up. About 5 or 6, nice and slow. One more. Just coming back to this position here. Hinging hips back a little bit more, a little bit deeper. And on the next out breath, just drawing the hands down. Hinging the hips back even more. Fingertips in the ground. Bend the knees a little bit more. Length through the spine. And from here, keeping one hand in the ground, draw the hand up, and you're going to pull the other hand up and away. Draw it up. Back hand just in the fingertips. In the ground. Draw it back down. And go to the other side. Pull up. Stretch right up through the torso. Really drawing the fingertips up the palm. Nice long line. You feel a little bit like you're falling backwards again. Just keep alternating the side. Making sure to breathe, nice expansive breath as you go. And one more time. And just let the hands sink back down. Hinge the hips a little bit more. And then drawing up to the shins and the feet. Nice long back. Just sit into it. Long in the neck, wide in the back. And very slowly, just bringing the body back up to a neutral position. Okay, and just shake the body out. Loosen the legs. Okay, great. Okay, take a BOKKEN. Let's see. We're going to go on the ground as well, so we're just going to do a little bit of a BOKKEN here. Let's see what I can do. I think. Let's see. Okay. So just first, just take the BOKKEN down, just on the ground. Just place it here. You're just going to come down into this position. You're just going to go into this. So this is also really good for the massage in the back as well. Using the hands, just coming back, down, back. Really using the arms. Nice big movements with the legs. Really kicking through the back of the heel as you go. Let the hips really hinge forward as you come up. And cutting a nice straight line through the mat, through the ground as you go. Set. Okay, great. And then what you do, take the bokken here, and you just hold it as if you've got it just in a normal kamae. Just here, just hinge in the hip. And in the case, make sure you've got space behind you. You roll back, and then come back up. So you want to really hinge from the hip as well as you're doing this. So use the hands just as a guide. Comes here and here. And here. Just watch what's behind you and around you. There. 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 Try and keep the body nice and straight, but you're going to pass diagonally down the spine. Hip to shoulder and back. There. You get the sensation of cutting as you come up as well. It's not a cut, but you're just using the sword as a guide. There. 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 And then every so often with this one, what you want to do is just drop the sword into the ground. And you want to really place it. Try not to throw the sword into the ground. You want to just place it. And that means you've got to really curl the hip a little bit more to get into the ground. And then, a few. And then pick it up nice and gentle. Sometimes place it down. Sometimes pick it up. Just get this feeling of really placing it into the ground. A little bit deeper into the hips as you go. There. 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 Okay, give it a try. Let's see. There we go. Nice. There we go. Good. Great. There we go. Good. Great. Good. So there's lots of variations you can do, and you can basically do all the standard rolls you can do with the bokken. So especially the backward rolls are a really nice one to do, but it's quite difficult to do in confined spaces and on hard floors. So just try this one. You go from here, just finding the ground. So just very gently again, just about placing the sword into the ground, just very gently, and then just rolling through it. Don't slip on the ground, come up, and then just refine the sword, so really connecting to it, and then come and go. And really take your time with it. So you don't have to do this in a standard. Obviously, there's lots of kind of traditional ways to do it. Don't worry about them. Just get the feeling of really sinking into the ground and placing the sword in. So the key thing is getting the body kind of spiraling down, really coming into the ground. Take your time with it, nice and balanced, coming down, and really work with the floor that you've got and the space you've got. And here, and you can really separate from the sword. Really take your time coming up and coming up to it. So really just move a little bit with the sword. Once you get used to it, just play a little bit with the sword like it's just a kind of stick as well. So you can just play with it, just coming here, placing it into the ground, rolling around it. If you've got space for forward rolls, also go for a little bit of forward rolls as well. Just play with connecting with the sword. And down, you've obviously got where you can go into forward foot. A little bit tricky. You've not got the space. Just make it very quiet, so the connection to the ground is very subtle. Coming down, down, down. Rolling. Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, there's the 2 points you want to be really careful of. So when you're working with sword, imagine it's also very precious, and also you want to keep it kind of near you. So there's 2 things you want to really avoid. One is really losing the balance and kind of coming down and then coming into this kind of position. And then as you come up, kind of grabbing it as you kind of come up. So you want to avoid that. You also want to avoid putting the sword in a position where I'm going to either roll over it or onto it. So be really careful about where you place the sword. So they're all part of it, but it's just about being really conscious about how you're placing the sword into the ground. The actual important part isn't the roll, it's actually this kind of motion where you're coming down. So you're really consciously placing the sword into the ground. So it's really here. And then you can go into a roll, whatever the roll is, and then really consciously finding the sword, making contact with it, and then coming up with it. Really take your time, especially in those moments, as you put the sword down and as you pick it up. So it's really about presence and connection into the sword. So you really take your time with it. Notice those moments we tend to speed up, that we're trying to kind of mask over, but we're not quite comfortable with. Those are the moments you really need to slow down as well, because those are the moments when the connection is going to weaken. There. There. Yeah. Right. And there's one way you can do it. It's kind of an exercise. You can do the same movement with it, or you can make it a little bit simpler, but you do it by closing your eyes. So again, it's about, hello, got some motor outside. You're going to really place the sword down with a feeling of closing the eyes and really connecting into the ground here. You don't need to do the roll, or you can do the roll. You can just stand up and step away from the bottom. So really take a few steps from it, and then really feel your way back in. Come down and really find the sword. Come back up. So again, it's just another challenge, mostly about the spatial, your kind of spatial awareness as well, but also in terms of balance as you come down. And you might find you'll go a little bit slower, but you might find also the balance is a little bit improved as well. So we'll just open out for you a little bit, coming down, placing it down. And you can try it with the eyes closed or not. It's really just an aid to kind of wake the body up a little bit to the space. There we go. Nice. There we go. Great. Very nice. There we go. Got it. Got it.
Let's make that one.
Good. Okay, good. We'll just go a little bit into some 𝒊𝒏𝒈 work. Just coming up. Really take your time with it. Coming from here, finding the back, cutting into it. Find the back nice and long and cutting the body in. Cutting the body down. Keep that same sense of presence and connection with the sword. So you're really trying to align with the sword down through the cut, down into the cut. Yeah, somewhere there. Good. That's it. Yeah. Okay, good. Great. So the first thing you want to get really a contact with is again the ground. So really keeping this idea that you're really grounding the body, and by consequence grounding the cut. and the sword into it. So there's a really simple exercise you can do for this. So if anything in the hand is basically taking away from that and drawing the body out, it will basically destabilize the cut. And anything I do later will just add to that kind of destabilization in the cut. So adding power and adding speed will make it worse. So what you want to do is just raise the sword up and then just feel that you hit the ground with the body. So you raise it up, nice little bit of a bend in the elbow, and then just sink it down. And it's really a feeling where the sword is if it hits the ground. So what you will feel when you do this is the connection between the hands and the feet. But really feel that the center presses down and the hand will just come to a stop. What you don't want to happen is the sword kind of going somewhere over here, somewhere, or holding it up. Really let the sword ground into the feet. Ground into the feet. And do this on both sides. You want the feeling of this. Also, if you've got two swords, you can do this with two. So you can do this like this with one in both hands. You're like this, and you bend them up and you sink them down. What you won't get is this kind of vibration because that works by both hands coming together. So you will just get the cut settled. And you want to really feel that the back is long. This. Think about when we do 𝒊𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂 flat, you sink it. So the priority is always the ground. Just let the hands kind of calm into it. Ah, yeah, good. Yeah. 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 Yeah, and this can also make it a little bit easier. Do this at the side of the body. So you can do it here as well, but it will tend to kind of, especially if you do it one side, it will kind of kink the body out. So let the body just ground here, so that the hand's just going to finish somewhere around the hip. This. It's really, it's very similar to these kind of swinging exercises, but rather than swinging through, you're just letting the sword hit the feet. What you want to really feel is the pressure in the foot. So once you've got this feeling, the second thing you want to work on is hitting the ground and then raising out of the ground. Hitting the ground, raising out. Hitting the ground, raising out. So it's very subtle, but if I force it, I won't feel it. So let the body really just drain down. Again, a lot of this 𝒊𝒏𝒈 work, a lot of the body work we're doing is about doing less. So letting the sword just naturally fall into place. Naturally fall into place. It will really matter also the way I'm holding the sword. So just also really feel that the sword sits into the grip. If I've got a kind of side-on grip, the sword will slip. And if I've got an on-top grip, the shoulder will do that. It will ride on top of it. We'll do that. We'll do that. So really feel that you've got the correct grip where the shoulder can sink down. Gum. Just sits in. Gum. Just sits in. Gum. 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 And once you've got it, you can do it a little bit more dynamically. So you're going into the ground, out, in, out, in, out. It's a little bit like hitting a drum. Boom. 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 The exercise is best done slowly without power, but just experiment with it. Good deal. Nice. Yeah, there we go. Boom. Good. Yeah, very nice. Good. Okay, and then just come back to the 𝒊𝒏𝒈, so right side forward. See if you can find this similar kind of feeling, so the body just hits the ground. Now you've got the added thing where the hands come together, both at the same time, and connecting with the center. And you've got the extension out, the feeling of cutting through. Extension out, cutting through. See if you can keep that same feeling of really hitting the ground. So the priority again with the cut is really to create something very settled. Not about creating power, not about pushing the sword down. Really letting the sword drop and align with it. Go. On the film, the center catches the sword underneath. Catches the sword underneath. Not that I'm pushing down from the top. I'm kind of distorting it. That's it. Good. There we go. Good. Great. Nice. Nice. Great. Good. And then just try this with Zengo with the same feel. So the body's hitting the ground. And then if you go, release it from the feet, hitting the ground. Release from the feet, hitting the ground. And just try and work it into the left side now. With the rotation, nice and calm. There. The feeling constantly draining down. And the hips engaging. Hips engage. Hips engage with the curve. There. There. And we feel that each cut is more and more settled. There we go. Okay, good. Yeah, good. And the same thing with the rotation now, just focusing on the center. It's a little bit like this foundation movements where you're coiling through into a spiral. So again, you want the hips to kind of create the motion, and you want it to pass and coil up the whole body, up the whole structure, as a unit, but as a flexible thing. So you're actually in a really perfect position because you've got the hips engaged through the cut here. And then what you want to feel is that this releases it. This releases it. Again, just play with this motion, because the more I split it, by it, for example, there's a few things I can do, like the head goes and then the body follows, or the arms go and then the body follows. But just get a feeling that from the center of the body here, this releases it. So again, there's a kind of kick from the whole hip into the whole body. And that movement from the hip will pass to the feet and it will pass to the hand. Again, really similar to all these kind of movements we make when we do these 𝒂𝒄 movements. But just let that spiral pass from the hips to the hands, and from the hips into the feet. So the whole body has a kind of release. Release into the cut. Release into the cut. So there's a real sense of coiling through the whole body. This now. Just play with it a little bit. Okay, good. Okay. There we go.
Michael, I struggle to find the kick as you described the hips.
Let's see. It really, again, it comes from that kind of settling. So the more I can kind of settle the cut and really give myself a chance to find that. And again, going from this kind of still position. So really feeling the feet enter into the ground. And then as you go, release it. There. So that kick in a way is going to come from the hip, but feel that movement's basically going to release into the body. So it kicks a little bit of the wrong way. It's the effect that it has on the body, but it's actually like a release from the ground. So it's got this sensation that I'm 50-50 in the feet, nicely grounded, and then you want to just start to shift the weight from the hip, and it will just release it. So what will happen is the sword will kind of kick up. You'll get that kind of a little bit like you release the spring and it goes boom, release it. So it's like something like a pressurized boom. There. You can also play with taking the focus out of it as well. So you just kind of get to this position. So that feeling of like ringing the sword and then release it. Yeah, it's also something that happens in the hands. So the hands are releasing there. Releasing there. It's like a full system release. Ooh, does that. Let's see. There we go. Very nice. That's so nice. Good, very nice. Great, we're going to number 2. So just coming here, right foot forward, and then just sinking back. This. So you've got really a spiral line running up the body as well here, coming right up the body. So again, you want to let the hips really ride up the sword there, or raise up the sword, not ride up the sword, raise up the sword. So you're here, goes here, this. The main thing is feel like there's a really change in the state of the body when you go into this movement. So you're here, and then there's a real softness which passes through, especially in the arms. So this position's quite soft. What I don't do is carry forward a kind of rigidity into it. The arms will basically block the movement. So get a sense of, especially the shoulders, the elbows, the wrists. Nice flexible movement up. There. And again, it's got really correlations with this, all these kind of koku movements we do. What I don't do is like move the joint very rigidly. So really feel there's a kind of flexibility in the joint. There. But it's very solidly grounded in the hip work and the footwork. There we go. Nice.
Michael?
Yeah, sure.
I have this feeling as being a string puppet. So
yeah, sure.
moves down, so my shoulder moves down.
Yeah.
And then it moves.
Yeah.
Out and then in.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, this is a good feeling. Also, you want to feel that, like what goes up goes down as well. So the feeling goes really down in this case. So you don't want that sensation like you're pulling the sword up and away. Will just split me off. So it's getting that feeling like at this point I want to feel like the sword's kind of hanging, or I want to feel that the body's hanging from the sword. So it's got this quality like everything's just pulled down, and then from here keeping that sensation as you go in, and then following it down. The key thing in this move is keeping that sensation down. So keeping this feeling sinking down. And then as you go in, down into it. So keeping that as you go through. Yeah, exactly.
It helps me to actually keep low, because the tendency for me is to actually go up.
Yeah.
In this movement
Ralston has this best way. As the hand goes up, the body sinks down. And he always has this feeling like draining through the marrow, or draining through the marrow of the bone. So it's really like this kind of feeling. That kind of feeling as you go into it, and keeping that's difficult as you go into these high positions, but you feel like it's really necessary to do that, because otherwise I'm just floating above. So everything's just it's kind of hopeless. So going back to these like koku movements where we're kind of rolling back and coming to these positions, rolling back and coming to these movements. So as long as I'm doing something like that, I'm just totally weightless in a way. So I want to really feel that sinks into it, and then that pushes down into it. So all those kind of thinking about those movements as well, and just thinking about kind of density and weight as you do it. It's also really helpful.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, very nice. Yeah. Exactly. Nice. So. Great. Nice. Good. We'll go to 3. So if you've got the ceiling or not, I've not got the ceiling to do it, so I'm going to use this shorter one. So when you go in, you're going to go back. Now this fully explores this feeling of like reaching up, sinking down. So traditionally done really with the breath. So you're going to let the breath come up, stretch up, really let the bokken come all the way up, Nice deep breath in, and then this is the second stage, is like a really condensing the breath in the body. So coming down, letting the soul go to the back hip, really sinking down through the hips. So you really feel like a coiled spring. And then the third stage is this explosive release above the head and coming through. And then between that, take a nice natural breath. So you don't want to do too many, you start to kind of hyperventilate if you do this too deeply. So just keep the sensation of this nice deep breath in. Draw into the back, really condensing everything down. Bokken comes to the back hip, and then release it. Nice natural breath in between. And then go in. Back. Notice that. Back. Number 3. Okay, good. Nice. There we go. Nice. Very nice. Great. Great. Yeah, just watching this position. So, well, Sensei said this thing about piercing the heavens and drawing down the breath from the sky. So you've got this feeling. What you don't want to do in this case is something like that. So if you think about doing any kind of breath work or deep breathing work, you're never in a position where the shoulders are like this in this kind of position. Because if you're to do deep breathing in this, the lungs are basically in a collapsed position. And then I'm doing like this, you'll get really shallow breath. So if you look at any kind of natural deep breathing method, you want the lungs to be really in a position where they're fully able to inflate. And that means the shoulders are really going to be rolling back and down. So you're in these kind of positions with the spine and the shoulders. But if you're in these kind of positions, you're really going to compromise that ability. So get the sensation as you go through. There's a really softening that happens across the chest here as you come into this position. And just watch for these kind of movements where you go into this, and then this, and then this, and then this all becomes very tight. So think about a really loosening through the body, or a softening through the body is a better word. So it softens, and then raises up. I think just as much about the raise up, and you're drawing down. So the breath's also channeling down into the ground. So you've got this kind of feeling here, stretching up, and then really slowly drawing down. And this is where you go into this kind of coiled position. The head comes to the front, the soul goes to the back, and then you draw it up and forward into it. Just play with it, especially this first move as you go back. That's it. Okay, good. There we go. Nice. Very nice. Right. Okay, great. We'll just go into a little bit of Awase work. We did a little bit on Monday as well. But just in this case, we'll keep it a little bit longer. So the first movement, don't go to the third movement, go to the second. So you draw up in this position. The first one I want you to feel is this. So sometimes we do a set when we do this. We go into this position, and you should see there's a very clear attack in the front wrist. So sometimes we do a set of Awase moves where you've got this position, and the person's coming in and striking the wrist here. So we both come back together, and then the person comes in, strikes the wrist here. This one. The first one you can do from here is really to give the person the attack. So they come in, they strike the wrist, and all I do is move off the line and I strike for the head this way. So this is using the second screw, but really drawing back. Yeah, and then I'm coming off the line, striking down. And you can think about striking down through the center or hitting the head in this position. So rolling back, it's a little bit of an adaptation on number 2, really grounding down, coming through. And you just want that same feeling of settling through the ground as you make the cut. Nice and calm, here to the back, and then let the whole body come in. It's like an extended version of Mikiwase. Back, off to the side. Let's give it a try. Yeah, good. That's good. Nice. Good. The next one is here. It's a little bit trickier. So in this case, you're rolling the body back. If you come to this position, imagine the person again is coming for the wrist. What you do is draw the body back and slice through the cut. And you're really coming towards the center line this way. So it's a little bit tricky in terms of the footwork. So you come back here and then shift the body like we do in the kumitachi. You come back and then shift the weight in this way. So you're really, in this case, really holding the line. So the first one's coming off the line. In this case, this one we're doing now is coming here and then holding the line, pressing the hip through. So really finishing with a very strong cut through. Back from this position, that, and right through. It's really got the feeling of connecting straight through to the center. Into that. That's it. Yeah, good. So good. Good. Okay, and then the third one we'll do in this one. You're going to come to this position. Here, you come here, and then rather than coming to the side, attacking through, or coming through, cutting through the sword, what you do is you totally give the position away. So I really sink the body back into this position. So this is a really direct movement back. This is an evasion from the cut. So you go here, and then sink the whole body back. So I want to really pull the body back. Now this needs to be quite a big movement because you've got the person basically coming here, they're coming for the wrist. If I don't really sink back, that they're in a position where they can just thrust through. So I've got to get a position where I come here and then I really draw the body back. It's also not an escape in such case that I'm trying to really escape from the person entirely or escape from the encounter. So you're not trying to pull back in terms of the energy. This movement's actually an invitation in. So it's got this feeling of being actually open, but still engaged with the person. But I want to be out of range in terms of the person being able to strike me without taking a step. So you go here. this position, and then this. But really keep a strong feeling of engaging someone forward, just that. We'll just do that, and then there's a few responses you can do from here. Coming back, and then really drawing back, and it's got a really strong feeling of inviting the person in. So you want to be quite open, but really solidly engaged. Forward. Yeah. Okay, good. Good. Okay, good. So what you've also got to imagine in this case, you can do a few options. Obviously, it always depends on the interaction. But in this case, what you want to do here is really give an opening back. So I'm really create an opening where I've got a straight line attack available for the person. So they should feel that they can come for the front of the head. So the person in this case would feel they've got that cut, they've missed the strike, and then they're just going to come in here. So they're going to take the chance because you're totally open with a very quick strike to the head. So what you've got in this case is a few options. The first one we'll do is just avoiding again, so or just coming off the line. So in this position, you're going to get a straight line to the head, and then I just coil around this way. So this is like Mikiyo-asa, this is like Hidari-asa. You go here, back, draw back, and then the whole body comes in. Very, very tight movement. Just exiting, creating a new line, and striking the head. That's here, here, back, and really making sure you're nice and centered, balanced, and then just move in. And you can think again about striking the head or striking the wrist. You go down, completing the cut. Give it a try. Hope it makes sense. That's it. There we go. Okay, good. Good. Yeah, and you can think about this a few ways. It also depends on the context of the movement. So you're here. If the person comes in very, very fast, what you're focused on is really that movement. So just exiting the line. So I really want to get off the line of the body here. If that's the case, the person takes very fast and the sword in this position. As I switch the hip in, I'm just going to go to here. So you're just going to basically do a little rake that and cut onto the body. It's a little bit different from Hidari-asa. It's a variation on where you've got this position and that. Because I don't have time, if it's a very short cut and I'm a little bit late maybe, I don't have time to kind of come into those positions. If it's too late, I'll get struck as you go through. So you want to keep, in this sense, you can do that other movement, as long as I keep the whole body calm and in movement. So from here and this. But just play with that, and also play with this variation where you just cut across. It's a little bit shorter, and I take a little bit of a different angle. So it's a little bit coming into a tachidori here onto the sword. But just feel that you've got two options with it. The one I can't do is something like that, like a big wide movement. So think in any event, what you do is narrow the body in and cut it down. Narrow the body in, cut it down this way. So it's a very, very sharp entry. That's it. It's really a classic kind of wedging off the body. There we go. Whoa. Yes. There we go. Good. And then the last one is really a saving movement. So in this case, you've got this movement. This. Now this is the case where I really get stuck. So the sword's coming down too fast. I can't get off the line, and I can't go off the line this way. So you're really stuck in the feet. So what you do is you just very gently wedge the body in, and you're going to meet the sword as it comes down. So you do this pattern. So you're really swinging from this position. I get really caught out. The sword's already descending. I don't have the time to go here. So what all you do is raise up, spiral up through the sword. So your real aim is to coil, connect to it, and pass it up. And then from here, just sink the whole weight in. Goes through here. So your aim in this one is as the sword comes down, you're trying to catch it up and then cut down onto it, onto the person. So you're doing something from below, coiling up and then coming in. So it needs to be at an angle a little bit as you come in. You're down, you raise it up at an angle. Raise up an angle and cut down. And you can do this in two moves to start with, like this, coming into the body. And if you get comfortable with it, just go into one, down. So it's a really fine timing. And this is a really kind of, this is an oh shit variation. The sword's already come down and boom, it's right on top of you. So I need to meet it and come straight into it. Yeah. So it's got a real holding the line. Really, there, boom, there, coming into it. Very tight. Good, and just the last few minutes, just play with from this position. So you're just directly going down into it. So you've got the 𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒃 here, and then you just release it, release it, release it. Again, you really want this feeling that the body's draining down into the ground. So it's not only an opening position in the front of the body, I'm creating an opening. You want the sensation that you're also trapping the person. So I want the feeling I'm really draining down, ready to move. And then from here, just go into a movement. You want something very, very sharp. So draw the body down, really take your time. And here, there. And then just feel, you can just move. So just play with different variations. There's a lot of things you can do from here. There. Coming in. Just keep it nice and calm. So the last few. I really need this kind of feeling of opening, inviting, and then coming in. And Wash. Yeah. Okay, good. Wash. Wash. Nice. Right. And this kind of practice really invites you or really opens the possibility then going to kind of techidori work, where you're going into weapons taking. So this idea of actually being exposed and open, and the person's kind of attacking you, and then you can think about the entries then coming in to take the sword. So this is this is a nice way to go into this kind of practice where you're looking at techidori, which really relies on this idea of feeling like you're exposed, inviting the person in, and then making the movement here nice and clean. So it's got this kind of thing where I don't want to take a position. So we spend a lot of time in the sword work kind of taking positions. And in this case, what you're doing is dropping it. But actually, in a case, this is a position also. But it's just one where I really feel totally exposed. And then coming into it this way. Those kind of decisive, kind of cutting movements. So this is a nice one to go into and then come into techidori work. But another time when we're on the mat together sometime. Let's see. There we go. Okay, well, power. There we go. Plus, domo, arigato, gozaimashita.
Domo, arigato.
Arigato gozaimasu.
Okay, very good.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Selena.